Oh. Oh, hi! It's Chad here from Lutoons, and welcome back to part 3, the final part of my top 20 favorite anime characters. Now, I've about topped this guy off here, but we've still got plenty of cool characters to count down, so let's get right into it. But just one thing before we do that. If my whole anime countdown series has put you in the mood to do an anime binge-watching spree, well, the best place to do that is Crunchyroll.com. Over on Crunchyroll, you can watch unlimited, ad-free, high-quality anime for $6.95 a month. None of this pixely, low-res torrent stuff. And if you use the link crunchyroll.com/Lutoons, you can try it for free for 30 days. 30 days of free anime! What is this, Christmas? So I hope you guys check it out. I know I would highly recommend it. And with that, let's get into the countdown. And, just a quick heads up, since my pop-up messages don't seem to be doing the trick in the past 2 videos, this video you are about to watch is riddled with spoilers for all 7 entries. So if you see me begin to mention a series that you've not seen, just click on through that portion. Okay, I think we're good.
You're not good enough.
The fact is, you aren't worth killing. Killing you is meaningless. All it would do is tarnish my sword.
I know, Mugen is the cool one, and he's got Steve Blum as a voice actor to boot, but I still like Jin better in the end. So, just what is Samurai Champloo? Well, 2 diametrically opposed samurai are coincidentally brought together by a young girl whom they both owe a debt, and with one simple rule.
Until we find the samurai who smells of sunflowers, you two are not allowed to kill each other.
Yep, it's as simple as that. Seriously though, this series has some of the strangest moments. You know, like that time when the gang joins a rice speed eating contest.
You must not consider stopping. My swords are on the line. Now swallow, damn it.
Yeah. Look, the bottom line truly is the fight scenes in this show are brilliant, no matter which of the 2 samurai you favor. And it basically all just oozes with style. Now, Mugen's slice first, ask questions later attitude is awesome, and his breakdance-influenced fighting style never gets any less cool. Just, don't try it at home. However, if I've got to pick one, I'm going with Jin from this series. He's the wise and stoic one of the pair, even donning a sleek pair of glasses. But don't be misguided into thinking he's your standard 4-eyed geek archetype. He's patient, smart, and most importantly, the only one who can stand toe-to-toe with Mugen in a fight.
I swear, you are the most undisciplined fighter I've ever known.
Shut your damn mouth.
And the only one I wasn't able to kill.
He's got this way of delivering lines that could come off in a very I'm so much better than you way, but it just doesn't. And his demeanor actually fits in a strange yet satisfying way with the whole hip-hop vibe of this series. Now, of course, much like any other odd couple type pairing, Jin isn't just a suitable opponent for Mugen in combat, but also in daily life. It's through this that a lot of the comedy and character building starts to happen, even though the premise is so simple. We can appreciate Jin's calculated traditional style more after seeing Mugen's wild spinning and thrashing. But I think why Jin really connected with me is because there's just something so fascinating in seeing such a passive and soft-spoken guy unleash a whole can of whoop-ass all over, well, everyone. And that, my friends, is how you open a countdown. Woo! Nailed it!
What the hell was that about?
I have no idea.
Greetings, Edward Elric. When I heard you were in the hospital, I dashed right over! And wasn't as I suspected. You're in desperate need of my assistance.
Alex Louis Armstrong. Where do you begin with this guy? Well, let's trace back a bit. Full Metal Alchemist has been brought onto the animated series front twice. Once as Full Metal Alchemist, which, as I understand, was made while the manga was not yet complete, so its writer sort of created its own ending. And then it was brought again as Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is based more rigidly on the completed manga.
Of course! Now I see why you're known for being eccentric.
Now, if you ask me, comparing the two isn't the way to go. I think actually watching both will give you the best viewing experience, because you get to see the characters go through different things and relate with them in different ways. So moving forward from here, I will kind of be speaking about both of these series as a whole instead of about one over the other. So if that sounds reasonable enough, we shall proceed.
I see your rationale.
So we've got two different series, but where does the one and only Strong Arm Alchemist fit into all of this? Well, much like many of the remaining series on this list, FMA is filled with very strong and likable characters. Full Metal Alchemist has this knack for jumping from silly comedy to some serious drama almost seamlessly. It's something that it really excels at, something that I've seen other shows try and fail with. And Major Armstrong is a walking and breathing example of how Full Metal Alchemist does it right.
It is I, the Strong Arm Alchemist, Alex Louis Armstrong in the flesh. Shut it!
As the Major in the state military, Armstrong brings an intimidating and impressive amount of brute force to the table. He's very outgoing and can often be found shirtless and flexing and sparkling. I don't know, it's a thing. And he often can be seen proudly proclaiming his physical perfection, along with his many other admirable traits, which have allegedly been passed down through his family tree. Sure, he brings the comedic side, but he also brings some serious alchemy skills along with. But even with his intimidating frame, stern face, and glorious mustache, Armstrong is a warm and kind guy. Honor and friendship are of the utmost importance to him, and he proves to be a great friend to Ed and Alphonse. Make no mistake though, cross him and you will find yourself on the wrong end of an Alex Louis-shaped hammer. You know, since I've seen both versions of Full Metal Alchemist and even a few of the OVAs, I think I could try my hand at some alchemy. I mean, it looks pretty easy on the show.
Only I will have the pleasure of killing you.
Samurai 7 is a 26-episode series based on Akira Kurosawa's legendary film Seven Samurai. And it tells the story of villagers who are oppressed by a group of ruthless bandits. And in their last-ditch effort to save their people, they hire samurai to protect them. The ruthless bandits in the case of the anime are, of course, giant robots. Now, Samurai 7 is special for me because it was one of the first anime that I ever saw that was not on Toonami. Well, it was later in 2012, but when I say Toonami, I'm referring to the 97 through 08 Toonami. And at that time, I wanted to try something else out that wasn't on TV. So I went to some CD website and bought the DVD. Turns out I really liked it. Samurai 7 not only produced my all-time favorite anime intro song, but also brought about one of the coolest characters I've ever seen. If you thought that Vash the Stampede was the only cool dude around with a red coat and yellow spiky hair, well then you probably never met Kyuzo. A nearly silent samurai, Kyuzo begins as the enemy, charged with hunting down and killing the rebel protagonist samurai. And his first confrontation with the leader, Kanbei, is something to behold. It's kind of an unspoken thing, but often hinted at, that Kanbei is basically the best samurai around, knowing basically none who can equal him. However, when he faces off against Kyuzo, he realizes that he is actually unable to defeat him. He actually turns his back on Kyuzo, knowing that he won't kill him in this kind of dishonorable way. Kyuzo is the type of samurai obsessed with finding and defeating the best, and because he has never faced anyone as skilled as Kanbei, it becomes his life obsession to kill him. And subsequently, Kyuzo joins with Kanbei's cause, not necessarily to help the defenseless farmers, but simply to deny anyone else from having the honor of killing Kanbei. That honor will solely fall to him. Though this combat pact is his sole motive, we still see a deep-seated sense of heart from Kyuzo, and he puts himself in the line of fire many times to save others who he barely knows. And as the series progresses forward, we see how insanely talented Kyuzo actually is, leaping to inhuman heights to slash apart giant robots. It's almost like they spent half the budget of the show just to animate Kyuzo's crazy robot-killing acrobatics. Well, maybe they did, because there's a few episodes in the middle there that look pretty terrible. Kyuzo can always be seen with this cold and paralyzing stare, and he fights with 2 swords. Yeah, you might not be that impressed with it. I mean, we've seen it a trillion times in all of our sci-fi and fantasy stuff, but in the context of this story, it's actually pretty rare. But, don't take my word for it, even Kanbei says so.
2 swords, what an honor.
Kyuzo's reluctant ways become integral to the group dynamic as he's mixed in with the other boisterous members of the team, and his reserved attitude even lends to some comedic scenes, like when he tries to teach some very incompetent farmers to shoot bows.
It's not my fault, it's the bow.
Yeah, sure, blame the equipment.
That's not fair. I work twice as hard as the rest of you guys.
Unfortunately, by the end of Kurosawa's film, 4 of the 7 samurai bite the dust, and so does this anime follow suit. That means that 4 samurai that we grew to love in this series are killed, and it is terrible. But no death is as frustrating as Kyuzo's. By the end of this epic fight, it becomes evident that there is no man living who can defeat Kyuzo. But the frightened and scared Katsushiro, reaching frantically for the enemy machine gun, shoots him down by accident. And to see him killed like this, never getting that final fight with Kanbei, it is just tragic. And quite frankly, it makes you want to wring Katsushiro's neck.
That's enough, Gundam 01. We'll fight for recognition of superiority. You are a Gundam pilot. I'm sure that'll suit you.
Just one big communication.
I've been told time and time again that Gundam Wing is nowhere near the best Gundam series. And that's okay with me, but I really enjoy it. Nostalgia is a powerful thing, and a lot of my love for animation stems from nostalgia. And Gundam Wing is a part of that for me.
I mean, heck, it's the only anime I have toys for.
Now, I haven't seen Gundam Wing for ages, and as I do with each entry of each countdown that I make, I went back to watch it again. Now, as I reflect, I see the appeal now, but, I can't believe that I loved this show so much as a kid. I mean, sure, there are giant robots fighting each other, but there's even more dialogue scenes, political conversations, heavy military planning, and no shortage of scenes with the profoundly annoying Relina.
Hiro! It is you, Hiro! It is you!
That said, on a second viewing, my favorite character somehow remained the same. Zechs Merquise, or Milliardo Peacecraft. But, come on. Zechs Merquise is a much cooler name. Concealing his true identity with his strange yet awesome mask, in Gundam Wing, we meet Zechs as he's climbed the ranks as an Oz soldier, as well as become their top pilot. His efforts through Oz brought him face to face with the Gundams, causing him to become obsessed with their power. In this distant future setting, feuding space colonies used mobile suits to wage war, and the Gundams are the ultimate weapon, made from stronger rare metals and with advanced weapons and reaction speeds. Zechs, however, doesn't have a Gundam of his own to oppose the protagonist Gundam pilots, but his sheer skill as a pilot allows him to fight against the Gundams, even in ordinary mobile suits. One of these such suits is the Tall Geese. It's actually an ancestor to the Gundams, so in a way it's kind of half Gundam, half plain crappy mobile suit. But even as the Tall Geese is at a disadvantage to the Gundams, with Zechs in the driver's seat, he can face off against anyone. While the Heavy Arms is my favorite Gundam, the Tall Geese is certainly my favorite of any mobile suit, Gundams included. Not only does it look awesome and wield a purple laser sword, but we discover that no human thus far was ever able to pilot it. Until Zechs. The real bummer for me as a kid, though, is that my local store, which sold Gundam toys, was always sold out of the Heavy Arms, and never even carried the Tall Geese to begin with, so I never even owned either of my favorite mobile suits.
But at least I have Sandrock.
Now, Zechs is one of your classic gray area kind of characters. I mean, sure, he starts off opposing the Gundam pilots, but as motives and morality become a bit more complicated, he finds himself helping our heroes at times, defying his orders.
Hurry and move out! I won't attack you in a position like this.
He goes through a lot during the series, and in the end, following an impressive fight with Hiro, he even sacrifices himself so that Hiro can live on as a leader. Of course, this wasn't actually the end of Zechs as we learned in Endless Waltz, but that's a whole nother thing. When it comes to Gundam Wing, Zechs is a really well-developed character, and I've only grazed the surface with his story here. Gundam Wing certainly isn't for everyone, but if you find your interest piqued and you're a fan of those bad guy turned good guy Green Ranger type of things, then Mobile Suit Gundam Wing and Zechs Merquise might just be worth checking out.
Is this the end?
And what are the four of us? A fool, a kunoichi with no particular talent, and me, the shirker who doesn't even want to be here.
Wait, Shikamaru only got the number 3 spot? What a drag. Now, I don't know if I'll make any more anime videos after this series, but if I do, it'll certainly be a list of my favorite Naruto characters, because there's so many good ones. And the truth is, there were 2 characters that are basically tied for my top spot, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going with the ever-annoyed Master of Strategy, Shikamaru.
What a drag.
Shikamaru is a shinobi of the Leaf Village and a peer of Naruto's. For those unfamiliar with Naruto, each ninja will kind of specialize in something and often have an ability unique to them or their family line. In Shikamaru's case, he can manipulate shadows to immobilize and possess his enemies, or his allies.
Shadow Possession Jutsu!
While his ninjutsu is very impressive, and Shikamaru learns to do even more with it as he ages, it's his intelligence that really makes him who he is. Known to sit down and simply think in the heat of battle, he's able to overcome many foes, not because he's stronger or faster, but he simply outthinks them and allows his strategy to win out. He treats his battles like a game of shogi, a sort of chess-like game which he often plays. Now, combining laziness with brilliance is a strange mix of traits to put into a character, but it really does make him interesting and one of a kind. His lack of motivation not only makes him unique, but it also provides some of my favorite funnier moments from Shikamaru.
You just woke up and you're already this annoying? Why'd she want me to bring this guy?
His abilities and intelligence are further proven later on, and we see that he is the first of his peers to be promoted to Chunin, and even later on becomes a Jonin after the time leap. This is one of the real privileges of watching Naruto. You get to see the characters learn and grow up, and when it comes to Shikamaru, we really get to see him mature as he has to deal with the death of his sensei Asuma, who really helped to hone Shikamaru's intelligence and bring focus to his apathetic nature. Without question, he's one of the Leaf Village's best and brightest shinobi, and watching him fight is always a unique experience, especially in contrast to some of the much more flashy fighters in the series. Even though he'd probably rather be sitting off under a tree somewhere in the shade. Because, fighting can be such a drag.
Well, that's just the way it is, I guess.
Bang! What the hell was that?
If I were Kira, you'd be dead, Mr. Soichiro Yagami, chief of the NPA. Kira needs a face and a name in order to commit murder. But I'm sure you've already figured that much out, haven't you? Please do not give out your name so carelessly. Instead, let's value our lives.
A notebook plummets down to Earth, dropped by a god of death, and is picked up by one of Japan's brightest students. He discovers that he can kill any person he's seen just by writing that person's name in the notebook. This is Death Note. That student with the notebook? Well, that's Light Yagami, a brilliant student with a god complex who plans to use the Death Note to cleanse the world of all evil. Oh, and that big creepy demon thing following him? That's Ryuk, the very death god who dropped his Death Note into the human world. Oh, and do you know gods of death love apples?
Hey, are you even listening?
Now, could we really root for a protagonist who's a mass murderer? I mean, he writes hundreds of names, and even the Shinigami Ryuk is surprised by how much killing he's willing to perform. I suppose each viewer has their own experience with Death Note, but for me, I was actually able to be on Light's side. For a bit, but let's backtrack. Death Note is certainly my favorite non-action fighting anime. It's really more of a supernatural thriller, and the source of the suspense comes largely from these two characters. Light Yagami, who I already spoke of, and L, the strange and enigmatic young detective assigned to catching whomever is committing these mass murders. Once L comes onto the scene, the series ignites into a captivating game of cat and mouse between two brilliant minds.
I think that's the most appropriate choice given the options.
While Light is the upstanding straight-A student on the outside, he's actually a megalomaniacal madman who believes he will become a sort of god once he's killed all the bad guys. And it's once I started to see just how depraved he actually is that I started to root for L instead.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
L is a strange guy. He's hired by the police, yet in these professional settings, he's usually seen cramming his face full of food or with his legs tucked up and shoeless. With an almost ghostly look and a kind of creepy stare, this is not the white knight detective you'd imagine for this job. However, there is none other than L who can catch light, and it's fascinating watching him, quirks and all, work to find someone when he's got little more than a few heart attacks to go off of. His strange habits and mannerisms might seem weird, but somehow they just make him seem even more cool. Japan takes to calling the one responsible for the mass killings Kira, and of course we the audience know that that's Light. But we just have to watch and see if L can figure it out. Light certainly doesn't make it easy for him, but somehow L actually begins to suspect him.
Interesting.
However, Light plays just a few steps ahead and bests L, tricking another death god into writing his name and killing him. Yeah, it sucks, and by this point, I was really hoping to see Light taken down. L is killed about halfway through the show, and after he goes, I admit that the show loses a lot of that electric tension that L brought. But even so, in the end, Light's house of cards comes crashing down on him in a crazy yet satisfying ending. And even though L wasn't officially the man to bring Light to justice, well, come on, yes he was.
Now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
There's no stopping him. And if I'm gonna go now, I'm gonna go charging at full speed! A mulberry is a tree, Kuwabara is a man, and I'll prove it. We all have to die when our time comes, but if we do our duty, we don't got regrets. So taste a little piece of my sword, Tagoro. Kuwabara, no!
So you guys may or may not have known, but Yu Yu Hakusho would have to be my very favorite anime, and my favorite character from it is Kazuma Kuwabara. Now, in the beginning, based on his loud voice and strange character design, one might think that this would be an almost throwaway bully meathead type character.
Now I'm back and I'm gonna beat your face up so bad even kittens won't look at you.
I mean, after all, he's usually out to prove that he's the toughest kid in school, or the #1 punk, as he puts it.
Kazuma Kuwabara, the worst punk of Sariuski Junior High.
Yusuke Urameshi, the much, much worser punk of Sariuski Junior High.
But yes, as we can see, that honor is continually seized by the main protagonist, Yusuke Urameshi, as he frequently beats Kuwabara. But both of these guys are cut from the same cloth, and they're the badass, don't play by the rules types of characters. And when you've got a character that yells as much as Kuwabara does, it's a good thing they hired the same voice actor as the one who played Vegeta, Chris Sabat. I don't doubt that his English voice is probably very annoying and off-putting to some people, but I think it fits him perfectly.
One big beatdown, huh? Guess I'll have to show him the brand new Kuwabara super attack.
Luckily for Kuwabara, Yusuke is hit by a car right at the beginning of the series, so therefore, Kuwabara is the toughest, the end. Okay, well, there's a little bit more to this series. Long story short, Yusuke returns from the afterlife to become a spirit detective, and it's his job to hunt down the strange, evil, supernatural demons which lurk all over the planet. Through Yusuke's return, we learn that Kuwabara has very high spirit awareness, allowing him to sense many things that no normal human or even many experienced otherworldly warriors can. For instance, he can see in the dark through sensing people's spirit energies.
Are you telling me you can see in there?
Yeah, kinda.
In a sequence called the Rando Arc, a particularly fun and important arc for Kuwabara, he stumbles himself into a tournament of superpowered fighters, and through participating in this tournament, even though he doesn't win, he proves he's strong enough to be a part of Yusuke's spirit detective missions. Not that this changes his stubborn, loudmouth personality, and though he does discover some powers in the tournament, he hasn't got much of an idea about how to actually use them yet.
What is that? I don't know!
And herein lies the fun of Kuwabara. As Yusuke ventures on his way to saving the Earth, he meets allies Hiei and Kurama, who, along with Kuwabara, kind of become the official core squad. However, Hiei and Kurama both have legendary powers and fighting abilities, leaving Kuwabara as sort of the dead weight of the group. I mean, he's the only human. But boy is he determined to keep up with these guys and make sure he's the toughest one. But as the adventure continues, slowly but surely, beating after beating after beating after beating, yeah, Kuwabara gets his ass kicked a lot, but he always gets back up. And I mean always. Hiei may give him a hard time.
That means we have only 3 fighters left, and one of them is worthless.
Hey! Don't be so hard on yourself, short stuff!
But even Hiei couldn't deny that Kuwabara has a toughness which surpasses him, Kurama, and arguably even Yusuke, who can take quite a beating himself. But Kuwabara can do a bit more than just take a punch. His signature attack is called the Spirit Sword, which is built of pure spirit energy. And given that he is only a human, it shows just how much power he truly has. He even finds his own strange romance, and of course, Kuwabara has his own way of being in love, deriving literal power from his love, Yukina, being present. That's not a joke. He literally gets, fighting power when Yukina is near him. His resolve to prove that he's as strong as Yusuke spawns a brotherly rivalry between them that really becomes the heart of the show. As they compete, they learn to understand each other and have one another's back. Kuwabara is a prime source for comedy in the series. His long-winded speeches and professed manliness works perfectly in tandem with his tendency to become frightened at the drop of a hat.
Fool, there can't be earthquakes on the water.
But despite this, Kuwabara is passionate and resilient, 2 words which describe him to a T. He may be loudmouthed and hot-headed, but there's no denying his godlike endurance make him a fierce opponent and near unkillable. I mean, he's taken more beatings than any character I've ever seen.
And though Kuwabara brandished new moves, he has been overwhelmed by the boy's strange attack. Can he survive?
Come on, announcer. You know he will. As I mentioned before, Kuwabara is more than just a punching bag. His selflessness knows no bounds. On many occasions, he saves those around him at the cost of his own health or even his life. And would you look at that, he actually lives through the series. Oh, dang it. Never mind, he died. Oh, no, yep, this was just a fake to inspire Yusuke's full powers. Yep, that's right. He took a lethal blow, but his sheer toughness allowed him to only pretend to be dead. You rascal, Kuwabara! And that about sums it up. Simply put, Kuwabara certainly is my very favorite anime character. Thanks for watching. Yes, it is true. I absolutely love Yu Yu Hakusho, and of course, my man Kuwabara. Gretel, I'm so sorry about your favorite character, Leomon, being left off the list.
That's alright. I've got plenty of new anime to go and check out after watching this list.
Gretel, that is absolutely fantastic. And I want to hear from you guys. If you could only pick one, who would your all-time favorite anime character be, and why? Let me know down in the comments, no matter how strange or unconventional your pick might be. I want to hear it. So that about wraps up the very first anime countdown here on Lou Tunes. Who knows, maybe we'll do more in the future. But for now, it's time to head back stateside to good old America. Okay, thanks, bye.
Is this the sign of a wine toasted victory? Or is it just a sad bitter sigh of defeat? I'll take it either way. It is just a play. I'm tying the strings up starting today.
Hey, I just want to give a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys rock. If you're interested in supporting the channel, be sure to head on over there and check it out.